welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red.
Absolutely doing what Ramos does best, setting the pace out of the start pen. And the line of Category 4 riders down the boardwalk behind him, well, that is some race start. And it is looking like around 330 metres that they now have on that group. And they are continuing to push on at the moment. Do not discount X100 at all from this group, because I think it won't be long till we see him start to pick off riders who are currently further up the road.
It's 1 hour 33 for Luke Alport, who's up at the 43k marker. He's still holding them off. Can he make it into the finish? Well, that's a massive ask, particularly with that move there. 1 kilometre to go. Not long until we get there. This is tough stuff. 1k to go though for Didush, for Nogueira and for Alport. Alport has been caught. This by Nogueira and Didush. First and through goes the rocket. That is Michael Knudsen.
Popovic is kicking, but Knudsen is there. Knudsen can see it. Popovic is coming. Popovic is kicking nearly 9 watts per kilo now. But Michael Knudsen is going to take the win today.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Qualifier Race number 2, 13th of August. And I've just worked out I've done way too many hours on the microphone at the World Championships. But you know what? I absolutely love coming in and calling these races because they are absolutely manic. My name is Matt Payne. I'm going to be here bringing you all of the race action. Our co-commentator, co-host, Emma Martin, in action at the World Indoor Championships up in Glasgow. But you know what? We have managed to come and join you for all of the race. And you saw some fantastic action last week in the men's race. We just had a great race in the women's race. And I'll tell you something, this course that we've got for the men today is brutal. There is no other word for it. It was designed by a sadist, I think, really, because look at this. It is a case of 2 halves. The first part of this climb has only 9% of the climbing until you reach 21.9k. And then you start to kick in. In fact, if you add up the 2 climbs together, they make up 91% of the entire climbing. Is done over those 2 climbs, all done in there. 42% of the distance has all the climbing in. So basically, pretty much all the climbing is in the last half of this race. That makes this tough. And that is why the Paso, Alto and Colombia is a great world to ride in. It's a great world to go explore. Not so sure I would want to race it. But I tell you something, if you're going to race it, you need a game plan. And I'm hoping that our riders have got a game plan that puts them in the right place at the right time. First part of the course, sprints to give us segments. Now, no prizes for those, but a fantastic snapshot as we run into the back end of the course of who is doing what, who's feeling strong, who is looking to take this on from the front. 4 race categories, as usual, categories 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 minutes between categories 4 and 3. 10 between 3 and 2. 5 between 2 and 1. This means that it should all come together on the final slopes of the mountain of the Paso Alto. We'll see if that's going to happen. Now, category 4 riders lined up on the start line, all ready to go. We have got all 10 of our top 10 from last week, including our top 3. Acevedo in 1, Zanaska in 2, and Francis in 3. They were your top 3 last week, but watch out for Velas, Kaluma, McMurtry. Watch out for Butt. Watch out for Agadello. Watch out for Gomez. Watch out for Noack. All top 10 riders, all here, all on the Sunday Race Club. Big race field. We are into countdown. We're about to see our first group of riders away. The riders winding up on those turbo trainers, on those smart bikes. You need to hit the ground running. You need to hit the pace. And here, it's go time on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club qualifier number 2. for August. Who is going to go from the gun? Are we going to see a kick out? Because this is where you can make time. And it's Schoberg at the moment. He knows that the race will go fast. And category 4 in the men's race field, known for its blisteringly quick start. Everybody, I think it's self-perpetuating at the moment. Everybody is kicking out because they know somebody will go for it. And that means week after week, somebody does. This time, Frederick Schoberg in front of Robert Cronje. Then it's going to be Michael and Marcus behind. This is going to be a really, really interesting race because this has gone from the gun. That has put the riders into the red zone pretty much straight out of the blocks. I hope they were warmed up, or their legs are really going to be feeling that. Going into that anaerobic zone, using up valuable glycogen, using up valuable energy that they're going to need in the second half of this course. And that is really, really critical. Now, this group just starting to stabilise itself, but as soon as it does, somebody else pushing on. Scott Francis now. We've just seen him go up to 5 watts per kilo, just keeping the pace nice and high on the way through. So looking good as he goes down the course at the moment. I think what we're going to see here is a very aggressive race. Category 4 is always great fun to watch. It's always great fun, I hope, to ride. And it's certainly great fun for us to keep a check on who's doing what, where and when as they come through those sprints. Now, Category 4 quite often will be one of the fastest category riders through the very first of our splits. And that is quite simply because they have this quick kick out. The first split times that we're going to get come at 2.7k. Now, this is typical of the first part of the course. We've got this lovely terrain. I think it's lovely. It's flat. Basically, you're going to heading out on some smooth, fast tarmac. Round the sides, you've got amazing scenery. You've got rock walls, you've got the canyon, you've got the hills around you. It reminds me of a Scottish glen, oddly enough, since that's where I've just been for the last 10 days. And do you know what? These riders making the most of it because they are pushing it well here. We are constantly seeing red. So if you're new to MyWhoosh, quick rundown on your screen. Riders in the centre. The rider we're watching, name up in that black box in the middle. Left-hand side is that rider's data. Power in watts, speed in kilometers an hour, time, minutes and seconds, distance covered in kilometers, heart rate in beats per minute, and the speed they're pedaling in revs per minute, or pedal cadence. Tiny little number under the watts, that is the watts per kilo, so that's power to weight ratio. That's the rider's details. Top right-hand side of your screen, satellite navigation view. Really key for the riders, really key for us to see what's coming. Right-hand side down the right-hand bar, that is the riders around the rider we are with. So we're with Scott Francis, he's lit up in purple. You can see Rob Hackett going into the red. As the riders kick on, you can see them pushing, and in there lots of detail. The individual riders, power to weight ratio, their distance covered, and the time splits. All these riders are basically in the same bunch. No time splits between them, so it says 0.00. That will change if there are gaps. So the bigger the gap, longer the time between the riders, that will show reflected up on that screen. So really, really key for these riders to make sure that they keep an eye on all of this data whilst they're riding. We're at 2.5 kilometers nearly covered for category number 4. They take that left-hand turn, they're heading towards the first of the bridges, and you can see top right-hand side, those 2 tiny, teeny, weeny, itsy little bumps. Those are the first of the bridges, but don't be fooled. They are key attack points. They are big enough to split the group. Category 4 underway. Category 3 lined up, ready to go. And again, nice big race field. And we have got some really quick riders in here, including the top 3 from last week. We've got the Colombian Andean team in here. Now, their best riders were Arana Roive, 4th last week. We've got Bulgarian, who was 7th last week. Don't forget, of course, that in this race field, Andre Diduch, the winner last week. We've got Ishmael Nogueira, 2nd last week. Jack Stables, 3rd last week. Adim Rodriguez, and in Hoyos Elos. This could be a real battle. Category 3 riders, the next step up. About to get underway. Will it be the likes of Tom Gates, Luca Bala? If I read the whole list, I wouldn't have put in there a rider who I didn't think was capable of being right up there for the win. Let's see who's going to do that today. We are away with Category 3. This is the run from the line, and this is where our riders are battling it out now. They are going to be making their way out as the lead riders go through the first of our time splits, and that gives you a clear indication that the leading riders in Category 4 have already gone past 3K as these riders leave the pens here. So we have the group away, 37 kilometers an hour on the clock. The riders are pushing and pushing hard to get clear as fast as they can. They do not want leaving behind at this stage. If you get dropped now, your only course of action really to get back is either to sprint like crazy, and that's what's happening. You see that blue dot jumping onto the back of the group. Just see the helmet coming through into the group. Or you have to pace yourself back very slowly and hope that the group eases in pace, and that is not always the case, to put it mildly. Or you can always wait for the next group, ride steady, wait for category above you to come through, but it's a big gap from this category to our next. So 5 minutes between category 4 and 3, 10 minutes between this category and category 2, and if you've given away 10 minutes, the odds are you're not going to be able to hold on to category 2 as they come through for very long, dependent on where that is. If you get caught on the flatlands, much easier. Get caught on the downhill, even better. Get caught on an uphill, that's not going to be good news. So category 4 now going over one of our bridges. You'll see the gradient at 5% as they come up, over 6% here. Luke Allport, the rider featured in our rewind earlier on, just in with this group. Dario Finati tucked in here, but it's Mark Dadson. Well, Mark Dadson, the Dadsons, always on the attack. Great to see them in action because they are one of our most aggressive set of riders. Mark here, definitely a rider who you've got to watch for those attacks. Not giving anything away, Mark. You've done it so often. Believe me, I'm not telling the competition anything they don't already know. Your reputation precedes you. Scott Francis, though, he's going to get that same reputation. And again, look at this. Kicks on, pushes on, wants an aggressive race. He wants to break this race down. He doesn't want to let this clearly go to the last half of the course, where we are just into that long, interminably long drag up that hill at the very end. Tell I don't like long hills, can't you? The reason for that is basically it's hard work. I love aggressive racing, but what this does is change in profile. Flat, steep climb, shorter climb, longer, draggier climb. We have the flat rolling bumpy section, so named by Emma, who's up in Glasgow at the moment, the world champs, in the middle. This is a really classic course because this really does replicate what a lot of people do when they race. It's having a mountaintop finish for yourself on MyWhoosh. Don't forget, you can come and ride this. You don't have to come and race it. We'd love to see you in the racing. We'd love to see you lighting up our screens in red as the riders go into that red zone, chasing Margaret Dadson, who's kicked over the top. Long stretch coming on that group. But you can ride this. If you don't want to come and race it, you can always ride it because Colombia, one of the many worlds that you can jump on MyWhoosh. Great to ride. Absolutely love riding around this. I love this when we go out and then when you come back round and go back into the tunnels. Now, just taking a little bit of a look here, it looks like Juan Gawarin and Matt Smithson on the attack here. Carlos Alberto in this group as well, so that is going to be Carlos Alberto Aran-Arayev, fourth last week. A man to watch. Juan Guarin in here, just keeping a look. Ishmael Nogueira in there. Nogueira second last week. Just looking to see if I can see Diduch. Yep, there he is. He's right behind them, and he's in this group as well. This front of this group, the leaders, the expected contenders at the front, and this is part of the key tactics in MyWhoosh, whether you category 4, 3, 2 or 1, being able to sit in the draft, just like you find on a road race, just like you find on the track, just like you even find on a mountain bike race. You've got to sit in that group. You've got to hide out the way. You do not want to be exposed to the draft. Pushing through the wind, it doesn't seem like much, does it? But when you're traveling at the speed that the riders are traveling, you want to be hidden. Key indicator for that, top left-hand side, where we're talking about those riders' data number. You can see the big number is watts. That's the power that the riders are putting down. When that is in green, they are in the shelter of the rest of the riders. Carl Spagarin here, tucked in nicely out of the wind. He's saving energy. That is substantial. Now goes into the draft, goes black. He tucks back in again, hides behind the riders, but bridging up to this group, goes into the black as they just move to one side. That is why staying at the front needs more energy. Staying in wheels 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, optimum place to be. Hide out the way. You don't want to be rider 20, 21, 22 in this group, at the back of this group of about 25 riders, because if you are and a split goes, you're not going to be able to get back in. And that's the problem, because you're then reliant on all the rest of the riders holding the wheel. And just like you would find on any race anywhere, you cannot afford to let a gap go. You've got to hold the wheel. Once the air goes in between, suddenly everybody is working hard once again to get that down, to bring that gap down. So category 4 right hand side of your screen, category 3 left hand side of your screen, nearly 7k done. Scott Francis again. What did this man have for breakfast? Whereabouts in the world is he from? What did he have for dinner? That's probably more correct given the country he's from there. So, and we will see who is going to go clear, who's going to have the pace, the power to go with them. Are we going to see riders off the back? And that is one of the things with this pace, this constant kick over the bridges, this sprint, this ease, this sprint, this easing. Not all riders are great at that. If you are a long, steady state climber who likes to climb at the end, you're probably not going to like the bridges where you have to put masses of power, then ease, masses of power, then ease. That yo-yoing of pace is generally not as good for a steady state rider, whether that's a time trial rider or a climber who loves a long, steady pass. Well, we're going to see who's going to be able to deal with this course the best. And don't forget, of course, these riders, they are looking to take away some big prizes here today on MyWhoosh. It is absolutely key to take away prizes. We'd love to see our riders racing hard. And as you can see, the prize money available is substantial. 2,160 AED. That is Emirati dirham. And for the team competition, which comes at the month end only, then you can see that's 10,800. Now this is for our standard category, category number 4. As we move to category number 3, that then increases, and that makes a massive difference. So you can see that we go up to 3,600 and 18,000 as we go in towards the month end for the team competition. 18,000 there for the team, 3,600 for the individual. Category 2, more racing, more training generally, having to go quicker. 6,000 AD, 30,000 for the team win at the end of the month. You can see why, guys. You need, if you're watching this new race and you haven't already done it, 50,000 AED. 50,000 AED. Now that means that is a massive, massive sum. To give you an indication of another currency, in case you're working something else, if you work in Polish zloty, that's the currency of Poland. Every day is a school day. For 10,000 UAE dirham, that is 11,028 Polish zloty. There you go. So now you know what's at stake for our riders. What's at stake for them? There's pride as well. So here we go. Category 2. Category 2. This is the second to the top. This is the category that is sometimes our most aggressive. Great to see the Hitmen back once again. They had first, second and fourth last week with Simmons, Biarhead and Ace. They're up against the UAE Falcons, Zaid Hamdan, Ahmed Al Tanaji and Hassan Al Rumethri. But do not discount James Cranich, third last week for Filippo Quadrelli, seventh last week, Roncalli, fifth, Henry Oya, sixth, Ryan Giuliano, 10th last week, plus a cast of very many people like Parisi, Kirchner and co. So category number 2 in the green jerseys with a huge amount of last week's top 10 coming back to race for that prize money we've just seen. Who's going to take it away? Away we go. Time to find out on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club who's going to win category 2. Will it be a repeat win for Olivier Simmons? Can he add to his prize haul? Will he go into our finals in the driving seat and in prime position and with that psychological advantage that's so key that he is going to be the man who's going to go up there? I think we're going to see some cagey riding today from some of our riders. So saying guarantees we're going to have an aggressive race. That's what we love to see. So at the moment, Tom Harvey going hard, but look at Nicholas Spratt. Spratt has gone for this. Spratt has got down the road. Well, will there be a mackerel chasing behind to catch Nicholas Spratt at the front? We will find out. 5.5 watts per kilo. He went out at about nearly 7 watts per kilo at one point there. He's got a gap of 4 seconds. The group is behind. The bunch is behind. Now, there is another reason to go this hard, this early, other than to make the racing hard, and that is its insurance policy. If you know you can kick hard and recover, if you kick out of that gun really hard and you continue that effort for a minute or so, what you'll find is that you've got a little bit of sliding room to recover as the bunch comes up. If you're confident that when that bunch comes to you, you can rejoin, that is a really good move, because actually what you've done is you guaranteed you're not going to get distanced in the very first few hundred meters, which is a risk, as we talked about earlier on. But it also means that by going up the road, getting the gap, relaxing, letting it come back, you've done a very short effort, you've put it out there for 1 minute, but then you can do your recovery, because the odds are that the group will not attack when they come back to you in this early stage. Not guaranteed though, and it does depend on the makeup of the group. For example, our category 2 on the left of your screen have very different riders, a different mix, because as human beings, we're all very different in category 2 to category 3. And you've got different skill sets. You've got riders who are sprinters, rulers, you've got people who can climb, and that mix is going to vary week on week, even within that same category. So really, really important for the riders not only to know how they can ride, but how everybody else rides. Now, Filippo Quadrelli has seen Spratt down the road. He wants to get across here. He can see that this has the makings of a really, really good breakaway if he can get across. Olivier Simmons, though, knows the danger of Filippo Quadrelli. Quadrelli showed in our MyWhoosh championships that he was a force to be reckoned with. And at the moment, you can see Quadrelli driving this in. He's wanted to get back up here. Olivier Simmons, well, he was right on the front, but he has decided that he's not getting enough help. James Krasnich up there, third last week, just holding around the front with Jonas Bjarhed, with Alessio Caligula. We've got Ryan Giuliano, Roncalli in here, Gnocchi in here as well. All these riders, regular names, Jose Avido in here, Wayne Smythe, Parisi. You're seeing these guys, Bernard Magat's in here. They're riders who we see all around the front. They're sitting there. They're looking at this that's being done by Quadrelli coming up to Spratt. They go down. That was category 4 coming the opposite way, because this is an out and back loop. So we go out, we go round the over the bridges in the loops out the far side, and then we come screaming back in towards the tunnels and head back. So category 4 on the way back in. They'll go past the pens very shortly, but category 2 now on the way into the first of our sprints, the first of our segments, but category 1 are lined up, and this is a big race of field. So as category 2 approach that sprint, category 1 are lined up. We've got some big teams. We've got some big names in category 1. They might take a little bit of time to go through. Tell you what, we're in early. Fantastic. Right, let's tell you who we've got. Oh my goodness, we got a treat for you. The UAE clan team, the all-conquering UAE clan team are here. Michael Knudsen, winner last week, cannot be discounted on this course. Neither can his teammate, the man who was second, Pablo Popovic. Michael Vink is on the start list. I warn you, ladies and gentlemen, the man who put the phrase in, doing a Vink, going clear and riding everyone off on his wheel, and this is one of the courses he's done that on. Watch out though, Mistakes 100, he was 8th last week, SS 9th last week for the UAE clan team. Watch out for Stefan Van Els. Watch out for Juan Hoyos, 10th for Van Els last week, who we know he's capable of taking a win. We've got people like Juan Hoyos in here, 5th last week, again, great climber. Said Safrizad never can be discounted on the climb, neither can Lionel Jassin, 4th last week. Zach Nair, the same. We've also got in here, of course, don't forget Rakat Al Thib. We've got Reno, we've got Al Hamadi. This is going to be a cracker. MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, category number 1, away on qualifier number 2. All our riders have had the flag. All our riders set off onto the race. And away we go. Let's see how cagey or otherwise Category 1 will be. So, just jumping in with Michael Knudsen, last week's winner in here at the moment. He is a rider you have to watch everywhere. Very, very strong rider, strong on the climbs, smart as well, because his tactical nous, you can see this in the racing. The UAE clan team very careful about not using all of their riders to drag back people. They are very careful. Their tactics are very smart. The teams, of course, can talk to each other. So the teams in Category 3, Colombian Andean, the teams in Category 2, the UAE Falcons, the Falcons talk to each other. So Zaid Hamdan, Ahmed El Tanaji and Hassan Al Ramesri all talk to each other. If they click the button on the mic, just they can hear that. If the guys in this bunch put on the mic, if they are one of the teams, they will hear the team. So the UAE clan team can talk to each other. Don't need to open anything else. It's all done in the game. Go on to an individual, you get the whole pack talking to each other. That's just so confusing. Really, really hard to deal with. So being part of a team, really, really key, even if it's not for the team competition. So one thing I suggest to our riders, whatever you do, put a team together, put it in early, and practice that communication, those team tactics in the qualifiers. Don't wait till the finals. I know there's money at stake in the finals. That's not the point. The whole point is to be able to work as a team, practice those team tactics and talk to each other. And you can do that when you're a team on the game. You don't need anything else. You don't need to go onto any of the other communication platforms. You don't need to be driving any of the other communication systems. Don't need that extra tech. You don't need the extra risk of it interfering with your tech, because of course in the game it's all designed to work together. Now, watching Michael Fink, multi-time winner, a rider who has ridden on the World Tour circuit and still continuing to ride on the World Tour circuit for our World Tour teams, the UAE clan team, of course, all using the MyWhoosh platform, including Tadej Pogacar, and great to see him racing last week. What a race. Top 3. I mean, does it get a better podium for a road race than Tadej Pogacar, Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel? Probably not in my book, and that's partly because I know that all 3 of them are more than capable of racing off-road as well. Okay, into the MyWhoosh Study Race Club. On to the course. We're going to have more riders coming in the opposite direction. These are riders in Category 4 and potentially Category 3, just starting to make the way back past the riders, able to see each other as they go in opposite directions. So time for them to settle in. This pace is just settling down in Category 1. Johan Lindboom, a new name on the start list, I think. Not certain we've picked on Johan for looking at him on the screen. 3.5 watts per kilo. Nicely rolling along here. 139 beats per minute. 139 should be comfortable for a Category 1 rider, because these riders, they are super fit. Don't forget, of course, as we see the Category 3 bunch coming in the opposite direction, that Category 1 is our starting category. We say this every week because we do have new riders and new viewers. So if you want to join in the race and you've downloaded MyWhoosh on www.mywhoosh.com, you've clicked in, you've downloaded, you've got on there, you've had a few practice rides, you maybe raced on a tune-up Tuesday, and you think, right, I'm going to join the Sunday Race Club. Don't be surprised if you get put in Category 1. You take it as an immense compliment, because we do love all of you, no matter how fast or slow you go. But what we need to do is find out how fast you are. And until we do, you sit in Category 1. And this is so that Tadej Pogacar doesn't turn up. We put him in Category 4 because that's the start category, and he whoops everybody. That's not going to happen. We put everybody in 1, and then they get allocated to Categories 2, 3 and 4. So the riders in those categories have competition around them that is of their ability level, and that is what is key. So it's not a fixed time you're going to spend in Category 1. It's dependent on how much you ride, how much pace you put down, how hard you try in there, what you're doing, what races you're doing, what rides you're doing. So do please make sure you're on there. Now, really interesting, Stefan van Els going down the road here. Mr. X100 chasing after him, looking to mark this out. Mr. X100 often regarded as the road captain of that UAE clan team, a rider for whom this final climb I think was made for, to be honest, because it just suits his physical abilities. Mr. X100 is not a rider suited to big spikes of power. He's suited to the long haul, races and climbs where you have to be able to pace yourself absolutely spot on. He was on pursuit there, chasing down Stefan Van Els. You can see going through there, Van Els going through the fastest time, Mystics 100 in second, and a real mix in here, but not scary quick, because if you look at Carsten Mayer, he's behind Scott Francis, a Category 4 rider. You look at Michael Vink, he's behind David Lopez, Category 2 rider. So the groups coming through pretty much at the same pace through the very first of our Amazon Lake sprints. This is the first run through that sprint. At the moment, these groups coming through at a similar pace. Stefan Van Els being pulled back into the group, patrolled out by Mr. X100, but riders distanced off the back of the group by that acceleration. You can see that top right hand side of your screen. You can just see the two yellow dots distance. They're at the base of that tiny little TV screen, top right hand side. Well, tiny if you've got a little monitor. If you've got a massive wall bank of screen in front of you, you've got a home projector in front of you. And I do know riders whose home pain caves are based like that, or if you're in a gym with a big TV wall in front of you, on that massive screen on the top right hand side, you can see the riders there represented by the yellow discs. And you can just see, for example, the gap just looking up near the front, like that gap opened, it then compresses. You can see the discs piling on top of each other, stacking themselves up, a bit like the chips in a casino, until the next rider gambles and their chip gets thrown out the front of the group and out onto the course. So let's see who's going to take this out, who will lead this out, who is feeling like they want this to go hard. Is anybody going to do that? Is anybody going to risk that before we get into our final climb, or will we see that showdown on the two final climbs? Remember, we have climb number 1, 5.5k. This is a second category climb, 5.5k, average gradient of 6.1%. Second climb, more than double the distance, 2.5 times as long, 13.5k, 503 meters, but half the gradient, 3.6 the average gradient on there. Now we're in with Phil Grace. Phil in here. I wonder how Phil's feeling today. Professional triathlete based in the north east of England. I think I can call the Yorkshire area just about northeast. It's definitely northern. So a man who lives near Tom Picott, the brand new world champion, or Tom Picott's home. So here we go. Phil just tucked in here and just coming up on the wheel of Jakob Björklund. Christoph Thiem just behind him. The pace at the moment, nice and steady. Phil just ticks by down 2.4. David Ospina Hernandez just kicking down hard there just to sit on the wheel. SS just in front. SS the blue cap, that's SS. Traditionally wears a blue cap. I have to say a massive thank you to SS for keeping his headwear the same ever since I first rode on MyWhoosh up against him, or up with him, on one of the bunch of rides, one of the MyWhoosh's rides on the platform. That was about 18 months ago, probably, when I first rode with SS. And he's had that same blue cap, makes my life marginally easier in identifying our riders that go down the street. If you keep the same headwear, the same socks, same identifying marks, or lack of headwear in Michael Nuss's case, it does make life easier for commentary. So the group are together. They're coming off the off this bridge. You can see it just stretching out top right hand side of your screen. You can just see this group opening up. The gaps just starting to form in between it. Then we'll close back down again as we come onto the level. It'll compress as we go into the climb unless somebody kicks into it so that they can take the pace up over the top. Don't forget, our next sprint is at the Amazon Bridge sprint. That comes at 6.5k, so less than 200 meters to go. And you can see from the top right-hand side of your screen on the course profile, that thin white line, this is a different profile bridge. This is longer, this bridge that's coming up, and it is a different beast altogether to the shorter ones. That will suit certain riders. So through the sprint line we go. This will be our next snapshot of which of our groups are going fast, who is pushing through there at pace, who's maybe squeezing on from the back to move through. And remember, it's not about who's first across the line, it's about the time it takes to go through. So the second of our sprints done. That's the Amazon Bridge sprint. That's completed now. The 200-meter sprint distance done and dusted 6.5 to 6.7k. But this is the bridge on the far side. It raises up, as you can see. We then level as we come over the top here. So we've basically gone across the river. We've gone to a spur of road up that bridge. We're now sitting on the top of that spur of land, sticking out, and then we're going to descend back off again on a bridge over the other side. So the river on the right-hand side, you can tell, more coffee required. The river on the right-hand side loops round in a big sweeping loop. Spur of land sticking out into it. Climb up it, cross it, and down the other side. Now, here we go. Again, what can we see? Yellow jerseys, predominant, but not the only jerseys. Suleiman Al-Rayaki, right up at the top there. And that is a category 4 rider. We've got category 3 rider in the blue behind, then a category 2 rider behind him. So we've got Geraldo following on from our leader, Harvey in 3rd place. Then it's Michael Vink in yellow. So literally, we have got category 4, 3, 2, and 1 in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. And that shows us that the pace is very similar throughout all of our groups through here. I think the riders not too active at the moment because they do not want to expend too much energy before they go into the finale. Now, you can just see climbing up. The high point of the bridge is just about the next of our lampposts on the right-hand side that our leaders are just approaching. It very quickly goes downhill, just in with Saeed Safrazad. So over the top of the gradient, it eases as we come through. Now we start diving down, and you can see it's going to dive right off the side here. It's quite a steep bridge, this one. It's where the river has come into the gorge. It's a deeper river gorge, so steeper cliffs at the side. That means that the bridge has got more arch to it. 7% descent. This group are flying down here, and they're going to come past 2 of our riders, I think, in category 2. The first of the riders, I think they've caught in category 2 since they set off, and we'll see those riders just come through this group. They may well try and make their way into this group. We saw that in the rewinds that riders being brought into the group, but the category 2 leader, this is the other end of the spectrum. Eduardo Parisi on the attack, heading back in towards the start area. He'll blast past that and he'll head into the caves. One of my favourite features. I know I sound like I've got lots of favourites, but basically, I don't think there's a world I don't like. There's definitely a climb I don't like. It's the last one on here. That's only because it's hard, it's long, and it goes on for ages. Not the speeds our riders go up, the speed I go up, definitely. They say you should train your weaknesses. That's definitely mine. That and ice cream and coffee. They're definitely. I'm not sure they're weaknesses though at the moment. So Filippo Quadrelli, the rider we're following in category 2, top right hand side of your screen. You know, Saeed Safrazad, the rider that we're in with on category 1. We're in with Andre Diduch, last week's winner, in with category 3, bottom left hand side. But right hand side, Luke Alport in category 4 in that group of what looks to be 4 riders in the red. So riders at the moment spread out from in terms of leading groups from 9 kilometers right the way through to 21k. The guys in the red at 21 kilometers covered. That means that they are approaching the climb number 1. They've gone through the tunnels out the other side. So has category 3. Category 2 are approaching them. Looks like they're just closing down on our lone leader. But the first of the riders into the tunnels will be onto the climb will be category 4. The next riders into the tunnel will be category 2. The last riders into that long tunnel will be category 1. But this is where things get interesting because we have a ramp up into the tunnels. You'll see we're going to go past the start pens, and you can see the yellow arches coming up. Now these are where the riders left, and the left had set off on their race start. Parisi just making his way. You can just see the yellow arches just to the side of the course here. And this is where our race start was. The riders came out, the arches on the right-hand side. They came out, turned left. We've been out onto the flatter lands on the other side of the mountain. Parisi, though, past those and heading in to the case. It looks like a dead end. It definitely isn't. We're going to make our way into those caves. The chasing group, chasing Parisi, led by Simeon Sniuki, along with Smythe and Roncalli. No breakaway currently in Category 1. Everybody still rolling through together. They are picking up riders in Category 2 as they go. At 10.3k, they are now part way through the 200-meter sprint that is Jungle Sprint, and through the banner they go. So that is the end of the Jungle Sprint. Our next opportunity to see who is flying, who's taking it easy. And generally, we would expect the fastest groups to be at the top of the table, at the top of the standings, and the slower groups a little bit further back. But just seeing an attack off the front here, and it looks like somebody's just starting to wind up on the front. I wonder who's going to be stretching out. Third rider just trying to bridge across. And I'll tell you what, it was great timing by those riders. They came through at the end of the sprint where traditionally we've gone to a different screen. They know that the riders won't be able to watch them if we do that. Their bad luck was we stayed on this screen a little bit longer as we came out, and it means that all the riders, if they're watching, and this is why it's so important to watch live on MyWhoosh live on Twitch TV, that you can see what is happening. They have been spotted, and it means that Mr. X100 has gone across to Stefan van Elst and Karsten Mehr. The UAE clan team again making the move, patrolling the group out. And it's Mr. X100 who's done the work behind Pablo Popovic, his teammate, the black helmet, black shoes, tucked in this group. And I think they're going to very quickly bring down the lead. SS sat there. Look at this. SS is doing the work again in that clan team, coming up on to the wheels of his team captain. That is the road captain on the road, Mr. X100. SS and Mr. X100 regularly ride together. No secret about that, because you can go join them along with all of our riders who are out and racing and riding out on MyWhoosh. Don't forget, please do jump on board. I would love to see you on there. You will catch me on there. I'm not going to tell you when, because you'll all embarrass me by leaving me behind at the moment. I've done too much talking and not enough riding. Okay, now Jungle Sprint. Just before that attack, you remember when the attack went, just coming in the bridge. Well, just before that we finished the sprint. Previous one, we had a Category 4, 3, 2, and 1. This time around, Stefan van Elst, Category 1 rider. Then we've got Eduardo Parisi, Category 2 rider. Then we've got Suleiman Al-Rayaki, Category 4 rider. Then it's Mr. X100, the first of our Category 1 riders, behind Stefan van Elst. Van Elst on the offensive there. But because we've got so many of our riders together, the Category 1 riders were very much dominant. I've just scrolling down our screens. I have to find our next Category 2 rider beyond those on our screens. You've got to go to, let's get this, 39th place. So, a few individuals as the pace hots up in categories 2 and 3, as in Parisi and Al-Rayaki, who have done a faster time. But we're only talking fractions of a second. So, be really interesting to see as we move through the races, the Category 1 really get into gear, how that changes. Category 1 left-hand side of the screen. Coming onto the big screen, though, Eduardo Parisi, 15.5 kilometers covered. Currently got that heart rate at 170, so he's pushing on here. 390 was what he is incredibly pushing on. The wooden boardwalk underneath him clearly suits him. He likes this environment. He's squeezing on at the moment, and he's putting down some serious power here. He's looking good. Let's see if he can continue to push to open up those gaps as they come in and through. Well, look at this. Simmons not wanting to let anything move on the road. Not surprised. Olivier Simmons, a rider who I've actually raced against, and had his avatar of mine battling it out. Fortunately, it was one of our shorter races, so I had half a chance of staying with him. But he was so strong on the climbs. He really could close gaps down. It was really impressive to see that turn of power. And is something. If you think, oh, I'm not sure how this feels, jump on your bike, jump on to MyWhoosh, go ride against the riders, come and jump on and race in the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. You'll see the power and you see the speed. Category 2 is pissed tough. Category 1 is blisteringly quick. You know, there is a reason why they are world-class pros on there, because it is so fast, and they are the guys rocketing into the tunnels, top left-hand side of your screen. Categories 2, 3, and 4, they get the daylight shining down on their avatars at the moment, and that is because they are already out the other side of the tunnels. It's torchlight, it's the light of the flaming beacons at the side that are lighting Category 1 in the tunnels. A real Tolkien-esque feel to this. It's a real Game of Thrones style cavern, you know, big hanging halls, rock pillars. You've got water underneath the bridgeway. Really, really great. If there's anywhere like this in real life, please do let me know. It's Matt Fixer-Payne on MyWhoosh, and if you know anywhere that looks like where our Category 1 riders are riding, let me know. I'll add it to my bucket list of places to go. There's quite a lot. Jebel Hafi is definitely one of them. Jebel Yace maybe. I know they're long climbs, but they're so legendary. I really want to go there and ride there. They're definitely on my bucket list of climbs to do. Haven't done the Stelvio yet as well. That would be a great. Can you imagine that on MyWhoosh? The turns and the scenery around the Stelvio in the Dolomites. That would be cracking. There you go. I'm hoping the designers are listening. They're probably not. But you never know. I'm going to put that plea out there. Also, there's a few other climbs I'd like, but I know what's coming next. I'm not going to say where they are. I'm definitely not going to mention them. So you'll have to tune in. Now, a couple of updates whilst things are relatively steady on all of these categories, with Category 4 and 3 settling into a rhythm with 2 lone leaders, Categories 2 and 1 heading towards the tunnels. Quick update for you and things that are coming I can tell you about. So 2 things. 1, if you race on Sunday Race Club and you race in the men's race, there will be 2 qualification time slots. Say that again. There will be 2 qualification time slots. So if you're watching this, if you're watching it live or you're watching it back after the event on Twitch TV, on YouTube, there will be 2 time slots. You will need to go to the correct time slot to enter. We have so many riders, 180 riders in the men's race, week in, week out. We need to split it out just to make things a little bit more manageable. Please, guys, go in there, and there is a deadline on there. You need to comply to that deadline, please, guys, or you won't get in the race. It's that simple. We love in the popularity, but we do need to be able to literally make the racing happen. So please, 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 make sure you know what your deadline is and when those time slots open wherever you are on the globe, because we've got riders all the way around the planet. Second thing is, there is a update coming. This is a big, big change, and it will need you to reload in and do the update. Now, it depends on your system as to the size of the update. If you have a Windows system like we use here in the studio and I use for our riding, the update is bigger than it is, say, on iOS or similar, and that's just simply just because of the way that the game works on the various things. Remember, you can download the game on Android, on iOS, or on Windows. But really big update coming, really important one, and one that you will love. But please, guys, make sure you do the update before you jump on prior to racing. Really important. Get that done. So update coming, changing registration coming. Make sure you do them. If you haven't yet downloaded the game, I would suggest you wait until that update lands. No point in loading the game now than having to update it in what is going to be 24 hours time. Download it in about 24 hours. Now, next sprint, Sangil sprint. As you can see, Suleiman Alriaki, Category 4 rider, fastest through there. Again, he's the rider who is on the attack. He's the rider who's trying to go clear. But behind, yellow jerseys, absolutely dominating now. And it's interesting that we have got riders like Bjorklund, like Walter, like Van den Eyck out, like Howeiler, right up in the mix here. They know they can't afford to go too far down. That Sangil sprint coming to a conclusion at 15.8k, and at the moment Mr. X100, Tim Cutler, Carsten Mayer leading this group out. They've got a little bit of a gap to the main pack. They're at 16.9k. 21.9 is the first climb of the day. So 16.9k in on there. This is going to be telling. Let's see where they end up. So here we go, Category 1 left-hand side of your screen, Category 2 right-hand side of your screen, coming up to 20k, not far to go for Category 2, but the Category 1 still very active. So Category 2 chasing the leaders down, not letting anybody go, not wanting to give any kind of gaps. So Wayne Smythe at the moment nicely tucked in here. Just look at that heart rate, 150, very similar to Olivier Simmons is here at 144. Not much difference between them. Another squeeze on the front. Category 2 is very, very active today. They're not letting anybody go. Now, Category 2 it's tough. These riders are absolute class. All our riders, very, very dedicated. All our riders are definitely going to be up there. You know, you don't ride on MyWhoosh without being a good rider, in the sense that you're going to give it everything. And if you're Category 2, that means that when you give it everything, you are moving pretty quick indeed. You're maybe not quite Category 1, but there's no reason why any of these riders can't be there. But they are active today. They are starting to try and open up those gaps. Now, Mr. X100, we're sitting in here, and you can see we are coming in to the next of our sprint banners. This is at 18.3k. So 18.3k coming up underneath the wheels. We're moving in to the Monpox City Sprint finish. Now 18.4 just going underneath, and the banner gone through. So let's take a check. We're going to have a look at these riders. They're one big group still. This is a slight draggy uphill now. I've ridden this, and as you come around this turn, you can really feel it biting you. It's just 0.7. It doesn't sound much, does it? 0.4 to 0.7, but it does make a difference. Now, the riders going through again. We still don't have Category 1 totally dominant on here. Hitmen Category 2, Olivier Simmons in 6, Joy Kaluma Category 4, Areaki Category 4, Noak Dazin Category 4, right up in there. So a real mix of riders on the Monpox City Sprint. This is going to be interesting. The longer that Category 1 save their energy, the more fireworks we will see from Category 1. We know they are capable of big, big things. We know that they are capable of really setting the road alight, of melting the tarmac with the power that they put down. Category 3 and 4, well, the two leaders are on the climb. Juan Guarin in Category 3, Luke Allport in Category 4, on the way up the climb here. So at the moment we have two leaders on their own in Categories 3 and 4. Category 3 at 24.2k, 25.5k done for Category 4. Coming into the base of the climb, this is Category 2. So Alberto Roncalli, the rider we were riding with, 153 beats a minute, 260 watts. He's pushing on. They go in to the start of the climb. This is the Medellin climb. So they will start to take this left-hand sweeping turn. The gradient now goes up, and we will not see the summit of this particular part of the climb, all part of Paso Alto, the Alto Pass. So the first part is the Medellin climb. We then have the flat rolling bumpy section. Then we go on to the Bogota climb. Now, oh, look at this. Jose Oviedo deciding he wants to go after Parisi. Parisi's down the road by about 15 seconds. Oviedo's going, he's hit the start of the climb. He's thought, right, now's the time to go. 6.8, 6.9 watts per kilo. This is a big push from Oviedo. So Jose Oviedo at the moment in Category 2. just continuing to push on, trying to open up the gap on runners like Angarita, like Gonsolin, Caligula, Valencia, Cain behind, Sprat behind. These riders have to respond. They need to not let this guy go too far down the road. If he joins up with Eduardo Parisi and Oviedo are going to be very, very tough to close down. Now, what's happening here? Oh my goodness, I've just seen 9 watts per kilo coming out of Phil Graves. Graves has just put in a kick. Knudsen has responded. So has Mr. X100. Oh, this is a dangerous, dangerous move up the road here. Knudsen, Graves, and Mr. X100 have given it the gas. Look at this. It's panic stations behind. They've just seen who's gone down the road, and it's all shades of everything. I can't believe that we have just seen a move, and everybody's trying to answer this. Knudsen, Graves, and Mr. X100. That is a monstrous group to go down the road. Who is going to respond? It looks to me like Pablo Popovic wants to get across here. He wants to go. That would be a dangerous volume of riders from the UAE clan team, but equally, you've got Phil Graves in there as well. We know Phil is coming back into good form at the moment, and this has put all sorts of trouble in to the back. It's dumped a big load of trouble on those riders because you can see the panic stations, you can see the fractures. Kaminsky, Vujasin chasing now. Tim Cutler having to chase. I mean, Vujasin 9.2 watts per kilo to get on. This is going to put a leading group here. If they work together, this could be a race-winning breakaway here. And what are the rest going to do? This is a turn up for the books. We didn't expect to see this here today. Phil Graves, Mr. X100, Michael Knudsen, Pablo Popovic. They've gone down the road. They're going to get company. Here comes Vujasin. I'll tell you something, Vujasin is due a big, big winner on this Sunday race club. He's an absolute class act on a bike, and he has made the junction here. Behind, the gap has opened. It's 7 seconds back to Kaminsky and Cutler at the moment. Now, this could go out very quickly with this leading group working well together. The cat has been thrown in amongst the pigeons. At the moment, there are feathers and fur going everywhere as the riders behind are scrambling to go up towards the group. Look at the numbers. Saeed Safrazad in the red, 9.9, 10.4 watts per kilo. This is a panic station. This is fight the fires. They've got the fire extinguisher out. They're going to need a bigger one because now you're seeing a move across by Saeed Safrazad. Safrazad joins that group at some point with one rider after another bridging across. The leading group will be bigger than the chasing group. When that happens, that means that will have put the balance of power. It will have shifted from the back group to the front group. At the moment, they are in all sorts of trouble here on this climb. The medaling climb has really been blown into a major race-winning arena here, potentially, by these riders. And Saeed Safrazad, he's caught the leading group. Oh, look at this. This is going to be something else again here. What's going to happen? So, leading group, Knudsen, Popovic, Safrazad, Mr. X100, Phil Graves, 5 riders on up the road. These are the guys. We've got Lionel with Justin. In fact, I can't even see Phil Graves. Phil Graves, I think, has exploded. We did say a rider compiling back. I didn't think that was Phil Graves, but it looks like it is. So Phil Graves, who instigated that move there, has gone and popped big style. This has left Vujasin, Popovic, Knudsen, Mr. X100, Saeed Safrazad with a gap of 11 seconds. 11 seconds! What has happened to this race? This is not what I expected. I thought that we would see an attritional race on this climb. I thought we were going to see riders being distanced off the back one by one. Well, this is a turn up for the books. And behind, Kaminsky, Nair, Anko, Walter, everybody in that chasing group now has got to work out what to do. Juan Hoyos, we know he can climb, so can Bart van der Niekout. But this has really shaken it up. What a day on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We had a cracking women's race. We're having a surprising men's race here in Category 1. Well, 12 seconds back in Category 1. That's a big gap. What's happening in Category 2? Well, we have our group of riders here. Roncalli in this group with Simmons, with Spratt and Avedo. 4 riders in the group. Just taking a quick check to see where the chasing runners are. Avedo just show you in about at the back of this group. It looks to me like Bjarhead is going to be the nearest rider at about 8 seconds down. So a similar state of play, a slightly smaller leading group, a bigger chasing group, and at the moment that still gives the advantage to that bigger chase group. That's just simple physics, because this is about draft, this is about power, this is about psychology, it's about the mindset of the riders. If you're in a big group, you know you're going to go quick, you know you've got the power, you know it's there, you can pull this back, unless you get some really, really scary, talented guys at the front, in which case, and sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. But we know all of our riders on MyWhoosh, they are all incredible when it goes uphill. Michael Kaminsky, the same here. Look at this, 6 watts per kill. He's dropped to Zapata, he's dropped to Limbom. He's trying to get across to the leading group. He's the next rider to try his hand at being the Houdini of the bunch and dropping out of the bunch, out of sight. Leave them behind, bridge across, make your escape, and then join the leading group on the front. But the gap in front of him, it's 12 seconds in front to get to the leaders. It's 12 seconds back. He's in no man's land in the middle. He's got to keep on pushing. Come on, Michael. This is where it's going to be. You make this break, you think you're going to set yourself up for a fantastic finish. I can't see that group behind coming back. They are going to have to pull something even more special out if they want to come up. You can see the pace that they've got. Johan Moreno, they've just gone past. Moreno is an absolutely class athlete, and look at this. Moreno just being put to the submarine by Kaminsky coming past him, rocketed through. And I think Johan Moreno now going to tap his way up to the top of the climb there. Remember, all of our riders are on different parts of their training, different parts of their racing, because as you go through the season, you can't be on top form all the way through, but we are seeing some scary form by the front of the race at the minute. Now, let's not forget, 4 categories of riders racing. 45 kilometers is the race distance. Say that again. 45 kilometers is your race distance. We are seeing the race blown apart in Category 1. We've got a solo leader in Category 2. We've got a big bunch in Category 3, and we have a small fracturing group chasing down Mark Dadson in the front group. They are fractured into 2s and 3s. Looks like Dadson and but the riders who are leading the group in Category 4. It's all over the place. And remember, we still have the longest climb still to go. None of our riders are yet on the last climb. It's a 2-stage climb. So the riders are on the way. Let's give you a reminder of exactly where they are coming in. So this is your course profile. We started left-hand side of the screen. We've gone through all those yellow and green sections. We are on the medaling climb at the moment. You can see consistent gradient on the way up. It's 5.5k of ascent. Average gradient, 6.1%. But the moment you get to the top, look at that yellow section. Steep dip, raise, rises, rolls, dips, raises, bump, raises, up you go. That is the infamous flat rolling bumpy section. Of course, it's got a bit of everything, and that is why it's really difficult to get the rhythm right, because you come up the steep section, you've got this flat rolling bumpy, breaks the rhythm up, then you're onto the climb. Now, don't be fooled by this long gradient and the fact I've told you it's really, really long and gradual. In there are 1 or 2 kicks, because you've got to remember this profile, it's showing you the whole of the climb. So when you look at this profile, you've 500 plus meters of climbing to get to the top, 503 meters up to the top of this climb. That's the ascent on this climb itself. And that is why, with this scale, those bumps don't look much, but believe me, they're going to hurt these riders on the way through. So riding this course is really, really essential. Now, Suleiman Araki, who had the fastest times through those sprint splits, now just being passed by the leaders of Category 1. They come into this tight left-hand turn. Moment. Mr. X100, Lionel Vujasin, Pablo Popovic, and Michael Knudsen. The 4 riders, now 5 riders with, and just keeping a check, so it's Knudsen, it's Safrazad, it's Mr. X100, Popovic, and Vujasin. That is an interesting mix. Not all UAE clan riders, but it's strong representation in there. So let's watch these riders on the way up here. Let's see who's going to put the pace down. Let's see who's going to open up the gaps. So Category 1, left-hand side of your screen. Category 2, right-hand side of your screen. The pressure is on, the action unfolding. Look at Category 2, out of the saddle here, side by side. To use the phrase of the great Hugh Potter, mano a mano, as they go up side by side. Just going past Ole Kochikev of the Germany in Category 3 there. So really interesting race unfolding in all of our categories. Brilliant to see. So our riders here, Category 2, right-hand side, 26.55k. They are still well in front, the leaders in Category 2, of the leaders in Category 1. Category 1 starting to break, starting to split, riders starting to stretch. But look at them, they're collecting up Parisi, Cadiz. These are the riders in the sights of the Category 1 leaders. And this is in part due to the pace that's being put down on the attack. Lionel Vujasin chasing Michael Knudsen. Michael Knudsen using this slope. Every time we come on here, every time we ride this climb, Michael Knudsen pushes through this section. It's one of the steeper sections of climb, 8%. Always guaranteed to push on here, and I think the rest of the riders now wise to that, because Vujasin's straight on his heels there. No messing about. He knows this is an area where Michael Knudsen is strong. Knudsen, though, keeping on pushing to try and distance the rest of this group. You just see the riders just starting to come back together again here. Just taking a look. Let's watch the heart race. Let's look at these riders. Let's see who's going to be looking good. That gap, though, is coming down a little bit. So Popovic just holding the back wheels. Popovic, Safrazad, Vujasin, Knudsen. Oh, this could be anybody's here today. Just seeing another stretch coming on now. Who's going to answer it? Who's going to chase? Now, looking at that group behind. SS, Michael Kaminsky, right-hand side of your screen. Bart van den Eyck, Juan Hoyos. They are currently at 26.26, 200 meters separating these two groups on the road at the moment. 150, 200 meters, near enough the kind of ballpark number. And at the moment, I don't think that gap is coming down. We're on the medaling climb. We are at 26.54k for the Category 1 leaders. Left-hand side of your screen, right-hand side, the chasers chasing hard, 26.4k. Top of this section of climb comes at 27.4. So 27.4, the race leaders in Category 1 will go over the top. They will hit the flat, rolling, bumpy section, the FRB. And as they do so, that is where you can expect to see the pace really start to rocket up. But we have this group of 5 riders. Vujasin, Knudsen, Popovic, Mr. X100, Said Safrazad. They are clear. 30 seconds, I think it is now, between Group 1 in Category 1 and this Group number 2 in Category 1. They've got a Category 2 rider in the shape of Daniel Cadiz in there. He's climbing really well with these riders. He's not able to stay with the leaders in Category 2, but I'll tell you something, he's still doing a great ride there. Pushing on. Meanwhile, Lionel Vujasin, Pablo Popovic, Said Safrazad, and Michael Knudsen just about to go past Mateo Alvarez. Alvarez just watches his riders go past as they keep putting the pressure on. In front of them, you can see that they've got their next target. More Category 2 riders. It's going to be Alban Bogred and Bert Cahan, who they're going to see next. So Justin just stretching this out. You know what? I think he's using these riders. He's just using that little bit of aerodynamic advantage to get a little bit of a march on the competition here. He's going up onto the wheel of Caligula. And I tell you something, this is an interesting move by Justin. Why would you push so hard here? Is that because he doesn't want the group to slow down? Is he looking to break it apart? Interesting tactics. Remember, Justin, of course, not on the same team as Mr. X100, Michael Knudsen and Pablo Popovic. The UAE clan team really would be, in theory, working over line over Justin. I think this is a case that offense is the best defense, because Vujacin has gone up there and he has gone hard enough to make all the rest of the riders go line astern to go behind him, and he stretched the gap. So through the top of the official part of the climb into the FRB section, we're just going to take a right hand turn here. We go sweeping around the right, and then we got some really sharp turns coming up, and there's a basically we twist back round the BS around onto the left hand side, so underneath the button we'll go. But these twists and turns, these dips and rises definitely make things a little bit more tricky, just to keep your pace high and not lose that momentum, not lose the speed you were doing. As it came over the climb, well, you can see Safrazad, Vujacin, Popovic, Mr. X100 and Michael Knudsen, the fastest up there, minute and a half faster than the fastest Category 2. That is Olivier Simmons. So Simmons goes through, and that's 42.9 seconds. Yep, 42.9 seconds back on the group. So Björklund there, Hoyos chasing Vujacin, chasing Popovic, chasing Mr. X100, Michael Knudsen and Safrazad's time is quick because he bridged and went right up to the front. Really interesting to see those times on there. All yellow jerseys, because the race is well and truly on. So this is one of those moments the riders can take. It is a little bit rolling, but it's relatively flat. Trying to take on board gel, trying to take on board hydration. Always more difficult when you're right on the limit. Moment on this rolly section, there's going to be some steep little bits. We're just coming into a little bit of a climb, but still easier doing it here, where you've got at least some downhill. So the riders are refueling. If you're watching at home, time to grab yourself a drink, grab some food. Got myself a coffee. Back on home coffee, finally. It was the first thing that me and the team talked about this morning, was the fact that actually we were back on home coffee. There you go. Proof that it's for real. We don't make these things up. It's very nice as well. Might be a bit cold now after having forgotten it whilst all this action unfolds in front of our screens, but that's going to fuel me up. I hope you're fueled up, ready to go. It looks like somebody's decided this is another place where they can put some pace in. Oh, what a surprise. Tim Cutler. Now he's on his way. Tim Cutler is a really aggressive rider, really smart as well, using this section to build the pace up, just to break out from that group of Category 1 riders and maybe go off in pursuit. Now Kaminsky's come up to him very quickly. There's a little bit more of a gap behind Kaminsky. Cutler and Kaminsky would make a good duo. So Cutler right hand side, chasing group on your left hand side of your screen. Category 1 today, a really different race that we're seeing here. We've traditionally seen them come up as groups. We've seen Michael Vink maybe go solo, but we have got a very fast leading pack here. Knudsen right in the mix. You've got up in here Said Safrazad, Pablo Popovic. You've got Mr. X100. You know, line of Justin here. This is a great leading group on the left hand side of your screen. Incredibly strong riders. And I think if they can take this gap in, Mr. X100, we know he's capable of taking the win. We've seen him close so many riders down on this climb in the past. He's now in that front group. This could be the day when Mr. X100 rides the entire race off his wheel. At the moment, they're coming across. They're going to hit the next climb. Now, the start of the longer upper section of the Paso Alto, and that is at 31k. At the moment, we're at 30.2, so right-hand turn, about 800 meters to go. Then we're going to be back onto the climb again. Next time, it's going to be the final climb, 13.5 kilometers of climbing. This will take them to 500 meters to the line, and then that will be our polka dot banner at the other end of the climb. Then there'll be 500 meters to our finish line. Well, look at this. Knudsen just clear. Simmons just clear. They're opening up those gaps. They're just trying to break clear here. So Olivier Simmons ahead of Spratt. Spratt coming across. Roncalli not able to answer this. They have gone past a number of other riders. Looks like Krasic not able to go with them. So this race being broken by the slopes here in Colombia. The riders are all the way over the road. Big differences. Now, left-hand side of your screen, Michael Knudsen is down that road. 4 riders together. The UAE clan team are not doing anything about him. Nothing. Nada. You can just see Knudsen is at 6 seconds. Nobody is going across the gap. Why would they not? You know, well, that's really simple. They don't want to close down a teammate. So we have 4 yellow jerseys in here that make up our category 1 riders. You've got Vjasin in here, you've got Safazan, you've got Popovic. Mr. X100 just at the back of this group with the red helmet. But who have they got down the road? You've got Michael Knudsen, the teammate of them. Knudsen goes off a victory. UAE clan team, happy bunnies. So Kaminsky working well, right-hand side, trying to contain Tim Cutler. Just taking a little look at the time gaps. I'll tell you something, the guys on the right-hand side of your screen chasing the group, trying to break away from the big, massive packs to give them a better chance of getting up there in prime spot. Wow, this is going to be really interesting. I can't see this coming back, but then again, I could see it totally coming back to a bunch sprint. What's going to happen? Your guess is going to be as good as mine, I think, on here. Look at the pace of Knudsen. He's on to the back of this group of Category 2 riders. Quadrelli sees him. Now does Nuki sees him. Henry Ice sees him. You can see that this is some serious pace he's carrying in here. They are all going to want to jump on his wheels. Follow that Pied Piper of a racer, aggressor, Michael Knudsen. And look at this. He's got so much speed, they're struggling to stay with him. Well, he has been a man who's done a vink to vink. It looks like he's going to be able to push on here. The gaps have opened up behind, and you can see riders who set off sometime in front starting to be caught back. So Henrik Oya, the next rider on a move, and it is Oya who's going to make the junction to the back wheel of Michael Knudsen, but you can't sit down and stop, buddy. Sorry, Henrik, you've got to keep squeezing on here because trying to go with Knudsen is difficult. Put yourself in the red zone, you could be in trouble. Knudsen, quick reminder, last group to go were Category 1. Michael Knudsen has made his way up. Of the 147 riders left at this stage, remember there were more at the start, Michael Knudsen has gone through 2/3 of the race field. He's currently in 47th place, but they're still giving away big distance. So the next rider up will be Spratt behind. There's Spratt, Olivier Simmons, Roncalli, you got Pierrehead. This really is a really exciting race. We need to see this action coming into the finish. Not sure who's going to make it, who's going to come in at the front. Will we see 147 riders who are left here making their way into the end? Not sure that's going to happen. Make sure you stay tuned in to watch. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you go on to Twitch TV. Get the glorious Technicolor. You remember the films? Full glorious Technicolor. That's exactly what we do. It is going out to you in maximum high definition. Goes out live in MyWhoosh Live. If you're watching on YouTube, if you watch live, you won't get that same resolution. It's only on the save video. It does a conversion once the video's been live and takes it across up to that same definition but the Twitch TV, the one to see this in a glorious Technicolor, and there's some fantastic action being on our screens all the way through today. And early on, it was our categories 3 and 4. Now it's categories 1 and 2 that are really blowing up on the side of the mountain. We are approaching 55 minutes for our category 1 riders out on the course. Michael Nuss, the man with the race lead, 33.5k, 33.4, 100 meters behind him comes the chasing group, but it's been absolutely decimated. So Jassin leading this chasing pack of category 2 riders with him. Michael Knudsen still clear at the front of Vujassin. That distance is so tenuous, isn't it? 33.6 to 33.74 at the time. 33.7. It goes up, and Vujassin, I think something, Lionel Vujassin is on a bit of a mission here. He knows he needs to get back to Knudsen, and behind, Popovic is shadowing him. He's not contributing to this chase back at all. Really interesting to see that. Popovic has got Knudsen down the road. Now, let's watch this action now come forward. We have Butt on the move. What can Butt do? He's in this group. This is the very front of the race, right outside of your screen. In red, leading the race out, 36k. Let's give you a reminder. We have 45 kilometers to go. 45k to go in total. 36k covered by our race leaders. The race of 2 halves, really, with the first 22k, all but 100 meters on the flatlands. These riders are pushing up. They've done the medaling climb. They've gone across the flat rolling bumpy. They're on this big long climb. Nowak, Butt, Dadzin, Castano, Montoya, Allport, all in this group. This is I think this is the biggest group on the road of race leaders together at the moment. Now, what will happen? Will they blow this apart? Will somebody take the opportunity to push on? They seem to be very evenly matched at the moment. 1 hour, 17 minutes of racing for them. Behind them, category 3, trying to close down. Interestingly, up towards the top 10 now as they go on to Brett McMurtry's wheel. So Johan Aaron and Ismael Nogueira, Daniel Martinez in there, Juan Talio in as well, just having a quick look down. Tom Gates in here, Didach in here, Elos in here. Hey, it's like an all-star. It's like a super group that's taking all the best musicians, dumped them into one big super group. It's a bit like that in terms of category 3 riders. Take all the stars of category 3, drop them down into one group. This is a huge group on here, bigger than category 4, so I'll eat my words there. So Hoyos in the group, Elos in the group, Montaltoyo in the group, but we've got Acker in there. We've got a real mix of riders. Quick reminder for you, the 1, 2, 3 was Didach, then it was Nogueira, then it was Staples in category 3. They were your top 3 last time out. They were then followed in by Carlos Alberto Aran Arayev, who's in that group. Behind him in 5th place, we had Dovinkeo Elos in there in 5th. 6th place was Fabio Rodriguez. 7th place last week, well, that was Carlos Esteban Pulgarin. 8th place, Sergio Hoyos. 9th place in the race is not racing today. 10th place was William Hoyos. All there in that mix. Category 1, last time, qualifier number 1. Who was race winner? Michael Knudsen. Who's on your screen? It's Michael Knudsen. He's back on form. Behind him, it was Popovic, his teammate on the UAE Clan team, in 2. In 3, the rider in 3rd place not taking to the race start today. In 4th place, rider has. That's Lionel Vujassin. Then you've got Juan Hoyos in 5. Then you've got Said Safrazad in 6. 7th place, the last time out, not with us, which means it's 8th and 9th. That's Mr. X100 and SS. The riders coming in just ahead of Stefan Van Elt Alto, who's in 10th in the green jerseys, Category 2. Bit reminder, top numbers. Man at the front in Category 2, Olivier Simmons in 1. Jonas Bjar headed 2, both riding for the Hitmen squad. In 3, James Krasnich. In 4 was Henry East. Then in 5, Albert Ricciardi. In 6 was Henry Oyer. In 7 was Filippo Quadrelli. And in 10th place, the only other of our top 10 last week to be on the start line, that was Ryan Giuliano. So really interesting to see. Very much the same names up there. The same people are on good form. Form generally, if it takes a little bit of time to come, will generally stop longer. And it certainly looks to be the case here today. So, Spratt and Simmons are going to see the flying man from Denmark come through. Michael Knudsen overtakes them, but can the Viking Raider take this out as he comes up on to the climb? Knudsen makes his way up here. He's got company with Simmons, with Spratt, but will it be a successful raid? Will he be able to go home with his plunder? Well, time will tell. 9 kilometers to go here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Olivier Simmons determined to stay with Michael Knudsen as Knudsen goes through. Really critical moment in the racing. Let's have a look. Knudsen pushing. Can they respond? Can Simmons respond? Can Spratt respond? This is about having the pace. Do you dig deep? Do you try and go with a rider like Knudsen? Do you use that? The answer is going to be no. He's just too strong for them. And meanwhile, you can see Agadello is going to see immediately behind him. It's a bit like Jaws coming up behind. You can see that pointed front of the group chasing him. So at the moment, Agadello just trying to stay clear in Category 4. That pack behind Smithson. You've got Arroyo in there as well. You've got Demanuan. We've got Aaron. This is a big, serious group. Smithson's in there. Let's take a little bit of a look. Who else? Aka. Cates is in this group. This is a big pack. They are moving up pace. They almost had Agadello back there. He's kicked again. It's allowed him to pull a little bit more time into them, and they are towing a Category 4 rider up here as well. So there is a Category 4 rider in this group. Not sure who it is. Just taking a little bit of a look down. Do you know what? I'd be lost without the guys behind the screens here. Brett McMurtry, the guy who is stuck in there, our rider in there. So Brett McMurtry in the group. So McMurtry tucked in, sitting with this group. McMurtry 8th last week in the qualifiers. This will help him stay with the group, sit on those wheels. Don't think about what's going on around you. Don't think about how much your legs are or your lungs. Think about staying on the wheel, holding that avatar, holding the distance, just like you do when you're riding. Now, Agadello is going to see the front of this group join him. They do. In the group, there is that man coming up behind, Brett McMurtry. Here he comes. He's in this pack. He's going to make contact here now. Great riding by McMurtry. He's holding the pack. He's snuck up on Agadello by sitting in this group. They've brought him back. They're bringing him up to the riders, and that is absolutely key. Great riding by McMurtry. Now, not easy to hang on to the heels of this man, Michael Knudsen. It's not all that long ago that it was just the front of this group who sort of got to 50th place. He's now made his way up into 34th rider on the road. Then on the left-hand side of your screen behind, you can see Vujasin, Spratt, Mr. X100, Pablo Popovic in here. This is a really big group of riders. Category 2 riders like Spratt mixed in with riders like Saeed Safrazad and Vujasin. They are motoring the way up. They're about to catch, I think, John Lloyd and John back. They are the next riders along with Kalangad who are going to be caught. But look at the pace of our Category 1 riders. It's so hard to jump on their wheels. Our Category 2 riders who are doing so on the left of your screen, they are doing an amazing job here today. So 37, nearly 38 kilometres covered for Category 1 leader Michael Knudsen, chasing all the rest of the groups of leaders on the road. And look at Knudsen. He sat there looking comfy. Wow, Vargas Butt, the rider we're following right-hand side of our screen, leading the race out at the very front of the race here. Vargas Butt with company, with Dadson, with Zanaska. Remember, Adriano Zanaska, I'm not going to tell you how old he is, but he's no spring chicken. He is one of our older riders. But I tell you what, he's using that experience. He's using his practice of racing on here. He rode in the MyWhoosh Championship. Adriano Zanaska is looking very good on here at the moment. He's really has improved time and time again. Great to see him in this group. Luke Allport in here, David Nowak in here. You got Mark Dawson, Vargas Butt in as well. It looks like John Alex Castano Acevedo in that group. It's a real star-studded group for Category 4. Behind Category 3, they're making their way up, but at the moment, they are still distance. The gap between the two groups at the moment, well, that looks like it's 0.6 of a kilometre, so 600 metres separating the lead in Category 3, chasing the leaders in Category 4, and the risk for the Category 4 riders on the right-hand side of your screen is that the Category 3 riders on the left-hand side of your screen in blue tow up one or two of those riders in the red jerseys. That increases the number of riders up near the front of the race, and that then means that we are going to see the riders rejoining, potentially fresher, because they've been sat with that chasing group trying to take some draws from shelter. Now, back with Category 1, Mr. X100 on the climb here. Said Safrazad, Pablo Popovich with him. They've got company from Spratt in that green jersey, and just rolling past Simmons. And Simmons here responding as I would expect, because we know that he is a very quick rider, and jumping back in with them. So it won't be long before we come into those final 5K to go. So the riders continue. Michael Knudsen in his pursuit of the front of the race. On the right of your screen, we're in with Mr. X100 on the left. He's trying to chase this man down. Knudsen hits 39K. He's gone over that. He is now up to 33rd. Not sure how many more he can pull back. I'm not sure that the very front of the race is possible, but don't ever say never. Never say never with this man. He could be right up in the mix. More than possible for him to get himself right into the gang. So Knudsen, look at this. He is just on fire today. Just keeping us at 80 revs per minute. He slices through the group like a knife through butter. Weaves his way through, takes that draft, and look at this. There's a scramble to try and get on there. Look at Sanchez going into the red. Didutch doing the same. They have seen the train leaving the station. They don't want to get left on the platform. But I tell you something, it's like trying to jump onto a high-speed train as it whistles through without stopping. Knudsen's come through. He's shaken them off already. Michael Knudsen has absolutely flown. That shows you just how fast he's going. That gives you a sense of the speed. And that means Michael Knudsen, in a stroke, has moved his way up to 9th place on the race overall. Well, I'll tell you something. If Michael Knudsen can close all of these riders down in front of him, if I bump into him in the flesh, I will buy you an ice cream, Michael. Believe me, because that is some going. And I value ice cream highly at the minute. Now Lionel Vajassin chasing hard here. It's not all over by any stretch of the imagination. Remember, prizes in all of our categories in 1, 2, 3, and 4 go right the way down into 5th place. This is so tough. Vajassin now really winding. Look at the revs, 94, 95 revs per minute. That is a high pedal cadence. Cadence of pedal revs that you put down. It's how fast you're going. It really is an indicator of how well you're going. You're using your fitness. If you are turning that round at 20, 30, 40, 50 watt revs per minute, you might be putting out big watts, but you're not efficient. You're using muscle power. You're using your anaerobic system. You are going to be degrading the muscles. You go up here at 90, 100 revs per minute. You are spinning. You're using your lungs, your aerobic system. You're getting the oxygen in. You're going to be able to go longer. You're going to be able to go harder if you can use that aerobic system well. And I'll tell you something, seeing these revs, I mean, look at this, 102 from Vujjasin at the moment. That is smooth. That is really nice. Maximum revs that are efficient, well, it varies from individual to individual. Go much over about 110, 115. Not so efficient, unless you're track sprinting, in which case you're looking for big numbers. Well over 140, 160 are possible for riders who have got a good pedal cadence, have got that leg speed in there. But having the variability to move up and down, almost as important as keeping that that pedal cadence high. And as I've come through that group, this is the group that we saw Knudsen go through not all that long ago. Vujjasin going through it. At the moment, 15 seconds down on Michael Knudsen. This is not all over yet. We've got 4K to go. Vujjasin is chasing here. He has got Popovic and Safra, but I think he has to ignore the fact anybody is with him. Any of these riders want to take away the win, they have to forget being tactical. They have to forget worrying about which team they're helping. All they can do is go as fast as they can because time is running out. Now, a little bit further up the road, Juan Hoyos, Barfad and Eekhout, so a bit further back down the road. They are chasing at the moment, their right-hand side of your screen, so they are trying to chase back the riders in front. And it looks to me like they are not going to do that. I think the day is done. Let's see riders in front. Vujjasin chasing Knudsen. Oh, I tell you something, this could be, it's like a track pursuit here. So here we go. Vujjasin pushes. Popovic answers. This is going to be really interesting. Time gap 15 seconds, 16 to Knudsen. They're the two. You know, if you've watched cycling on a velodrome, and there's a track, this is a shot. That's it. Got it. Brilliant. Right hand side of the screen. Michael Knudsen going one way. Coming towards us on the other side. Vujjasin. 15 seconds it was between them. But they are like they're going around the track and they're lapping, and you can see that the gap. Now, Knudsen has got to keep this going. Did he go too early? He's at 41.8k. He cannot afford to back off. And if he does back off, okay, Popovic is hanging on to Vujjasin, his teammate, but he won't want them coming back. At the moment, though, the gap's coming up 18 seconds. It's hovering back to 16. There is nothing in this. And I'll tell you something, this pursuit is spurring Knudsen on. He's closing down on the leaders on the road. They have been out there since kilometre 0 at the front of this race. These Category 4 riders are about to see the Knudsen Express on its way through. And do you know what? There's going to be nothing they can do about it because the pace is phenomenal. They have to focus on their race. Remember, the prizes are there for categories individually. There is no overall prize. It doesn't make any difference where you finish compared to the other categories. It's where you finish. And through he goes. Knudsen looking good. He's gone through this group. He's taken the front of the race. Allport is going to try and go with him. I tell you something, that would be something very, very special. If any of these riders can hold on to the wheel for 30 seconds or more, that is some ass, because the power that Knudsen is putting down, he's sitting at 8 watts per kilo. I repeat that, he's sitting at 8 watts per kilo. That is going to blow these guys out of the water. Mark Dadson knows the value of trying to take as much draft. He's trying to use it. And this is where you can be smart. Use the draft of the rider in front. They're doing 30k an hour, so that's 20 miles an hour. That is uphill. That is how fast they're going. If you can use the draft, you can use it to help break the guys behind. And that is why when you see a rider like this come through, like a Category 1 rider, the riders behind in the other categories, they've got to keep this nailed. They've got to push on. So Vujjasin really has set the tempo. He's set the pace. You've got Safrazad in here. He is a proven race winner, a regular winner in the past of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. He's a rider who knows how to climb. Pablo Popovic, he's known in the commentary box at least as the momentum master. He's the rider who can use the slope to his advantage. He takes that momentum, that speed and that pace. If he's coming into a downhill, he'll slide into the downhill. He'll push through into the uphill. He'll use that momentum. It minimizes his effort. It maximizes that output. And here he goes. Now, Pablo Popovic, left-hand side of your screen. He wants to get Vujasin dropped. He wants to drop Safrazad. He's using this part of the gradient to kick on here. Now, will he bridge across? That is the question. That could be possible. He's onto the wheels of Allpot. He's now using the draft here to kick through. He has got Safrazad in pursuit behind him. The only man in front of him is Michael Knudsen. And this is going to be telling because Safrazad, I think, is going to get on his back wheel. He's behind you. Yes, indeed. Here he comes. Well, this is it. This is the key moment, I think, for Popovic. He wants to break them. He's not broken them yet. But look at this. Vujasin is up with Safrazad, and Mr. X100 is holding these riders in check as well. We said start the show. This is a climb that suits Mr. X100. Why? Because he can sit at a pace. Jumpy, the bouncing up and down in pace is definitely not what he likes. This is really critical. Now, Michael Knudsen out in front. He doesn't need to pay too much attention in terms of who is yo-yoing and battling with who. What he needs to do is make sure he stays focused. He's coming up for 44k covered. When he hits that point, there will be 1 kilometer to go. His gap to Pablo Popovic is minimal. We are talking about, I think, single digits now. It is really not that big. And remember, Knudsen and Popovic may be teammates, but they want this win. And not far behind, Vujasin and Safrazad are trying to stay clear of Mr. X100 because, of course, there's team money at stake in the final. They will want to go. Do you know what, UAE clan team? You're not invincible. But the UAE clan team, they're making it kind of look that way. We've got Knudsen now into his last 750 meters. Right-hand side of your screen. Left-hand side of your screen, it's about 850. Now coming to 800 meters for Vujasin. He's in pursuit. He can see him in front, you know. His could get close. They're going to come up. This is the polka dot banner coming. This means there's 500 meters or so to go to the line. The polka dot banner is going to go underneath. Here we are. 44.5k covered. We have 500 meters to go. Michael Knudsen goes through. He's got 8 seconds, on the rider behind Pablo Popovic. It's 100 meters at most separating them. And this is where Knudsen's just got to bear himself. He's not got to think of anything else other than going as hard as he can. Popovic can sprint. Vujasin can sprint. Safrazad can sprint, but so can Michael Knudsen. He's got to engage this. He won't want to leave this to chance. He went clear. He attacked. He took a group with him. He has gone clear, and he's going to solo to victory. The crowd at the side go wild because it is Michael Knudsen of the UAE clan team. He will be our first rider home. He'll be the winner in category number 1. Qualifier race number 2. Michael Knudsen, race victor. Next in, it's going to be Pablo Popovic. Popovic is going to make it a 1-2 for the UAE clan team. Safrazad fought to the line. He takes 3rd place, and Lionel Vujasin, after that long, incredible pursuit, he's going to come through. Top 5 for him today. 4th place for Lionel Vujasin. Behind him will be Mr. X100, and that's a nice result today for the UAE clan team because they have riders in 1, in 2, and it's going to be in 5 as well, I think, for Mr. X100. A brilliant ride by him. as he makes his way up the climb to come in to the line. So for Justin in 4, Mr. X100 in 5. It's going to be Kaminsky, I think, in 6. But this is going to be the win in category 2 for Olivier Simmons. Simmons on his way to the line here. He's going to be chased all the way, and this is the fight. This is why they're coming so quick, because it is the fight for the line. And it looks to be, so tight as it came through. I think that's going to be Montoya who's going to take that. Now, I'm going to just try and bring you an update on those as they come in. But don't forget, you can catch all of these results on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Now, Simmons and Spratt have come through. We have seen a massive fight in all of our race categories, making the way into the line. Kaminsky's on his way through the line. Let's have a look at how that has unfolded. Knudsen takes the win in category 1. Simmons takes the win in category 2. Montoya takes the win in category 4. We still have our category 3 winner to come in to the line. And in category 1, UAE clan team with Knudsen in 1 and Popovic in 2. We have Saeed Safrazad in 3, Lionel Review Justin in 4. The third counter for the UAE clan team coming in 5th, that's Mr. X100. 6th place is Michael Kaminsky. You can just see our category 3 riders coming in. Quintero taking the win there from Manelli, from Girardo. They are your 1, 2, 3. Last week's winner, Andre Diduch, coming through for 4th place here at the top of the Paso Alto. And all of the results, when they're confirmed, will be available. Remember, live at the moment, then unconfirmed, and then they will be verified. What a race. What a day on the Sunday Race Club here on MyWhoosh. Great women's race. You can go watch that back. Great men's race. An absolute pleasure putting words to the action. And please do get in touch if you've got any questions, if you want to let us know what you're getting up to. Love to see what you're doing. You can get in touch with me. It is at Matt Fix the Pain. You can get in touch with Emma, who will be back next week at Biking Emma. Don't forget, of course, it is at MyWhoosh on Facebook and on Insta as well. Make sure you get registered in time two times for the men's race to get in, and a cut-off as well. And, of course, a brand new update coming. Watch out. It's a good one from me, Matt Payne, from all of the amazing team who make this all happen, without whom it just wouldn't be possible to bring you this show. Please enjoy the week. Jump onto MyWhoosh. I'll see you out there. Stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.